me and my wife with having arguments. Do you ever have arguments with your wife?
No, I don't, because in my case, I don't.
You don't.
I will tell you later why.
Okay, all right, good. So anyway, but sometimes I have arguments with my wife, and this is a story. I'm in Shanghai, and she seldom travels. I travel a lot, but she is visiting me in Shanghai. This is a story about decision making, by the way. I'll connect it with groups in a little while. So we are in Shanghai, and I show her all around. I know the city. I've even had an apartment there. At some point, she's there. I'm showing her all the places, and in the late afternoon, we start getting hungry, and she comes to me and says that, Pepe, let's have some pizza. Let's have some pizza. And I think, she is crazy. She is crazy. She comes to Shanghai and she wants to have pizza. And I say that let's have some hot pot instead. So this is a typical situation with people in the companies everywhere. You have two ideas and they are fighting and it becomes a conflict. Very typical. I call these ideas cold ideas. It's difficult to really grasp them if you don't get deeper into them. So I actually, with my wife, we've been practicing a lot. So we've been practicing decision making a lot, during these whatever years together. So I asked her, why do you want pizza? And she starts explaining to me that she is really tired. She wants to eat fast. And she really wants to get the cheese on top of her pizza, because she thinks it will give her lots of energy. And I tell her I haven't seen her for a long time. I want to have a romantic evening with her and with a bottle of wine. So this is, I call them warm ideas. We start understanding each other's ideas. Actually, we could even make a decision. We could, and if we can stay there even a little bit longer, maybe we can create something else that is actually in our interest, that we both will enjoy more. So in this particular case, my woman is a very clever woman, and she says that, Pepe, how about if we combine this? Do you have a place in here where with Swiss fondue? And I can have my cheese, and you can have actually the romantic evening with a good bottle of wine. So actually we went it was our first day in Shanghai, and we went to had some fondue together. The little story ends in here. And I'm in here to talk about decision making, about making cold ideas, making the cold ideas warm. Talk about a little bit about the challenges with the current methods. I don't like the current methods people are using in facilitation. I'm going to talk about how to make better decisions, and then I'm going to apply it into online facilitation. So this is actually also, this is the objective. This is also the flow of the session. We go about challenges, how to make better decisions, how to apply online. The challenge is at least a little bit about history. So going into the history a little bit, this is happened in divergence and convergence is a picture from a psychologist called Guilford from the 50s from America. This comes after Osborne has already, I think, 30s, 40s experimenting with brainstorming and classical brainstorming. And this is all about separating, creating ideas, and actually that then choosing ideas. And this is what with the facility, most of the facilitators will say that this is what they do. They create ideas, they help the groups create ideas, they help the groups choose ideas. And this is what we historically learned to do. So this picture it's still a good picture, but there are some things problems we created for ourselves. So the first thing is that poor understanding of ideas. You can imagine that we're doing classical brainstorming with my wife. And she says, well, let's have pizza. I say, let's have hot pot, but we can't criticize the ideas. Actually, we are not getting deeper into what's behind the ideas. So if we start making decisions, they will be on surface level without ever understanding the logic of each other. So the facilitators, we actually often create lots of ideas. The next, we start having so many ideas that we cannot deal with it. So we categorize it to make sense. It is typical that the sense-making reaction of people, we start putting them into categories. So now you can imagine me and my wife, I want to have some Chinese hot pot, she wants to have pizza, we categorize them and we want to have food. The process of categorizing is not helping us. It is actually making the decision-making more difficult. Finally, we might have categories what we want. We have pizza, we have food, or we have drinks, or whatever the categories. We prioritize, we do some dot voting. And we decide we're going to have some drinks. So this, I'm sorry, I a little bit exaggerate this process, but there are some problems, things that people do in decision making. They do not go deep into understanding the topics. They categorize and they make very hasty decisions, or they don't do it at all. Let's say that the most popular tool, it's fantastic about creating understanding. World Cafe, you create fantastic ideas. Original World Cafe says that you summarize the ideas in the end. Original group summarizes the ideas. Actually, cafe, you have, let's say, you have 50 ideas in the room. Most likely, to make any clear decision out of 50 ideas in a room, it will take at least the same amount of time to make a decision that it took to create the ideas. So now I'm going to pick up very quickly just a person to comment. I see that the first name I see is Hector.
Yeah.
Hector
yes.
is, yes. Did I lose you totally? Or maybe did I make you angry? Did you have any connection to what I'm talking about?
I have to admit, I was writing something down about the HSTF convergence.
Okay.
But I didn't, so I missed the question. I have to admit. My
All
apologies.
All right. Anyway, Hector, do you have time to talk to listen to this?
Yes. Yes.
All right. What do you think about this? Do you connect with what I'm talking about?
People jump into solution mode every time instead of exploration mode.
Okay.
So I do agree that people try to solve the issue. So categorizing for people is like part of solving the issue instead of understanding the issue.
Yes.
And I do agree that we jump into do mode. I have to do something in order to solve the problem because the decision is a problem for people to fix.
Okay.
And I do agree that jumping into action mode is not really, and sometimes it's not very helpful to actually understand.
Okay. All right.
Totally agree.
Okay. Thank you, Hector. Thank you for agreeing. I hope you all find some connection, because we have lots of facilitation tools that actually focus us to do this. And I'm not the tool guy. I am a group dynamics guy. More than that. So let's talk about some solutions. We're going to focus today on the solution number 2. Because number 1 is actually my business secret. This is what I do. I have I work with people who typically know a couple of facilitation tools, but they don't know how to put them together well. They can make a great brainstorming, but they cannot actually close it so that everybody would be committed. So this is my I teach people to do simple 3-stage workshops with the best tools on each stage. That first, if you want how to clarify a problem, how to create solutions, and how to make an action plan. And on both sides, creating deep dialogue. So let me discuss something else, and then I will have a. So I'm talking about, if you see I've actually changed the name. I said, well, it's not divergent. I talk about emergent thinking. It's just a better word. If you use divergence, it's still okay. Emergent is more about bringing ideas into view. This is what emergent thinking is all about. I'm talking now about adding dialogue into creating ideas. I'm talking about adding dialogues into choosing ideas instead of dot voting. How do you do it? And then I will talk about online. Online samples. So this is components of a group process. Let's put it into pieces. Let's put it into pieces. So there is individual thinking. I can ask the people, actually it is very good, works fantastic in my country, we are introverted people. I ask the people to think on their own. I go to a factory and I ask the people, what's the problem? Nobody answers. I ask them to think on their own. And I give them time to think, and I start getting lots of answers. When making decisions, I let the people think on your own first. What are you thinking about? What are the key things solutions we should take? Actually, connects people with their own thinking, and I think they are more logical and more creative at the same time. This is one mode. The second mode is actually running the group dynamics, is about working in small groups. This is when I think ideas become warm. People are not, when it's everyone working together, the dynamics are not working very well. People tend to argue in big groups. They tend to, if someone is talking for a long time, they tend to get lost. But when they're working in small groups, my favorite group size is 3. You work in groups of 3. Typically have a good exploration of the ideas, and you start the cold ideas become warm. This is when I have an idea. This is a typical thing. My wife was the example. I tell her an idea that I have. Sometimes it disappears on its own. Sometimes when I say it, it gets stronger. Sometimes I get good ideas from her. And actually in small groups of 3, which is the best group size, you have 4 persons, some people start dropping out. You start creating understanding and alignment. So you use small groups. Then there is everyone. This is what I'm doing now. You are quite fast. If I don't get you into small groups, I start losing you. It is good for sharing ideas, informing, and checking that everyone understands. Finalizing the decision. So these are actually my playground with the groups, is that I can tell people to work individually. I can ask them to work in small groups where there's lots of psychological safety. Hey, I work a lot in China. There it is not normal or considered rude to throw your ideas, to say something like say your ideas just in front of other people. And they're actually giving the people first, discuss things with your colleagues. You tell your idea to the colleagues, they say it's a good idea, they get support, and actually you get the people the psychological safety. So in some Asian countries, we use lots of small group work. In my country, you don't get the introverts talking if you don't do individual thinking. So this is the playground. These are the elements for me to create my group process. And And now let's bring this to the online world. And then I'll give you a sample, and if I have time, I will ask you to share something with the nice person next to you. Next to you, maybe in a group of 3, if Paul has the time for that. So, individual thinking. It may sound strange for you. I use lots of individual thinking in online facilitation. Now, everybody, let's be silent and write down what is the key problem we have. We actually, I ask in my ground rules in the beginning is that have a piece of paper with you, even though we do digital facilitation. The second one, it's related to the tools. There are many digital tools that don't support the breakout rooms. One of the most popular ones has been the Teams, Microsoft Teams, that now has the breakout rooms finally. And you actually have to have little things to do, little tricks in many times. So I facilitate. My job is to create alignment. It's to create, help the people, the cold ideas to get warm. So my key choice for creating, yes, for facilitating, the key tool the key element of the platform has to be that I can easily make breakout rooms. I can create alignment in the small groups. And everyone, I think most of the tools can do this. Most of the tools can do this. So let me give you an example. I don't have the annotation tool. I would otherwise be pointing. Don't have the pointer. All right.
You need an annotation tool.
That's all right. I'm soon finishing, and actually I'm trying to have a little discussion over this. But Paul, I'm soon going to ask you if you can make groups of 3 for us.
Sure. I can make groups.
For a couple of minutes, I'd like to have a short reflection on this.
Okay.
But soon, not yet.
Okay.
In here, on the left side, if we start that, I go to this, I have a digital session, and I go to a factory and I start working with the people. The first one I ask the people is that, hey, we come here to develop our way of working in the factory or our processes, and let's have you think on your own. What are the key topics? Second, this is not, let's discuss in the small groups. Discuss, share, let the ideas emerge, explain your thinking, and choose the key ones. Third, let's present. So now we are actually, most of the facilitators probably do this. The next thing, what we do is actually we don't categorize. I never categorize. If the things are not understood, we might work more in the small groups. Let's explain it more. And yes, and we do this online. Then when we have the key topics on a whiteboard, there has to be a good group memory on the digital tool. We think on your own. Which topics do you solve today? Second, the convergent thinking stage. Now, dear participants, discuss in the small groups what are the real topics that we should choose today. So we didn't dot vote. We actually started explaining each other what are the real important issues we should do. Third, we might dot vote after the discussion and explain the logic and discuss them, that did we really get the right topics. So this was about group dynamics, trying to get more dialogue both in the emergent and convergent thinking. It was about not categorizing and actually having the right tools to do this online. My dear friends, I have a question for you. I have gone through we have a history of working with methods that actually prevent us having dialogue. I'm saying in here that you should bring more dialogue into the discussion, making the ideas warm, not categorized, and actually you should leave a lot of time for discussing the solutions. You have a work cafe, you should leave the same amount of time for the choosing ideas as you did for the creating the ideas as a basic rule. And you can, by playing with the group dynamics, if you have the right tools, you can do it very well online as well. And I would like you to discuss, what did you hear? Was there anything important for you? For 3 or 4 minutes, Paul, if you can make the groups for me.
I can start the groups now.
Yes. And the question was there anything important for you?
Okay, so please join the rooms as they are assigned, and I'll try to make sure that there's at least 3 persons in each room.
Good.
Can you just
This is about 3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Was there anything important for you?
In what? In what you've said?
In what I said. Was there anything that got your attention in what I said?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, dear colleagues, please join the rooms, and we'll be back here in 3 minutes as we need to wrap up the session and start the second one.
Hi, Paul. You might have to re-add me to a room. I didn't see a pop-up.
Is this John speaking?
Yes, this is John. Sorry.
I'm glad to have you here. Okay, sure. I'll put you in room 2.
Sure. Thank you.
This is Mark. I didn't receive anything either.
Mark, okay, sure. I will put you in room 2 too, because there's only 2 people there. Carlos Reis, do you need the room? Carlos, welcome.
Sorry, I'm mute. Welcome, Paul. Yeah, I need a room. Yes, please.
You need the room? Okay, I'll put you in room 3.
Paul.
Yeah.
My friend.
Yeah.
How do you have a deep dialogue if you've got a very large number of people? And even in breakout groups, then if you resort to using triads, you have the difficulty of getting all of the feedback within a reasonable time. And that's where electronic collaboration tools can be very, very useful to capture the key feedback in the breakout room so that you're not going through every single breakout room. You know, could we now have the feedback from room 21? And
okay.
Everyone is left and gone to have coffee or a beer or something.
Okay, all right. So I think in large groups, you are seldom there to make really make decisions. It is more about, you don't necessarily need to make decisions when you are hundreds of people. Right, Bob?
Well, if you're, I mean, I've had lots of situations where I would have maybe 20 people doing a risk assessment.
Okay, yes. That would be more typical, and actually you have to make decisions in the groups of 20.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's a question of how do you make decisions on the things that you can make a decision on, and not have somebody who knows nothing about it saying, oh, I think that's a really important area or whatever.
Okay, all right.
And Pepe, this is Ajit from India, and large groups, small groups would be about 20, 30. So having this dialogue process when your minimum size of the group is 20 and sometimes can be bigger for decision making. So I disagree with you when you said large groups don't take decisions. There are, and populated countries do take decisions in large groups. Our parliament is huge and it does take decisions, maybe slow, maybe. So it becomes difficult to ultimately get the emergent thoughts moving to a decision making, because the number of ideas is quite large and putting them in triads. So I was wondering how this could happen with larger groups.
Okay, so my dear friend, this takes time. Actually, dialogue takes time, and it is very difficult with 200 people, I can connect. When I have 200 people, I can make sure that I have a couple of at least meaningful discussions where people can share and get things out. But I would have to be changing the groups one. So I would probably, if I had 200 people, I would mix some of these elements into the decision-making process. That people mixing the groups at some points in small groups so they can really talk. And then using it with digital tools. All right. So I think Paul is getting nervous. So
5 minutes to wrap up, please, Pepe.
So I can ask one more person. How was it going? Let me take Lestari. What were you talking about? In your group, small group. Lestari, what were you talking about in your small group?
Okay, our small group is there is Ula and Kala, right? Sorry if I'm wrong spell the name. So we discuss about the emergent and divergent, emergent and convergent. Sorry. Mm-hmm. So it means that the process from the emergence to divergence is very interesting for making the decision making, especially about your story about the food between Chinese food and pizza. That's our conversation.
Okay.
Maybe Kala will for.
Kala, would you like to add something? All right.
Me? Hi, did you ask me?
I think.
Yeah, no, it's Paolo. Paolo, maybe you'd like to comment, yes?
Well, I what I like very much about your model, and you started with a picture when you showed the decision about the pizza or the Indonesian food, is the fact that some people say it was Jeff Bezos, I think, that meetings should be with people that can eat 2 pizzas. So the ideal number is of 4 people so that each one can have half a pizza. And the reason is because the conversations, the more people you add to conversation, the more the conversation becomes complex.
Yes.
I was looking for the rules, so it clicked on me when I saw your first slide.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, because you're Italian and there was a picture of pizza.
Yeah.
Pepe, we needed to wrap up with your friend.
Okay, all right.
So on in the digital bootcamp.
All right. So today the situation is such that lots of people already know the platforms. Quite many, I think the current need is actually managing the group dynamics, making better decisions online.
Right.
I introduced a couple of concepts, which was managing group dynamics using small groups on both emergence and convergence, and also with having a clear, simple process. This is what we talked about. I am not going to ask you how you feel now. This is book coming the 1st of June. I've posted a link in the chat. There you can already download a chapter about the history of a little bit more about about divergence and convergence and how the methods evolved. You can download it. Our marketing is probably stealing your email address if you download it, and you might get the book publishing date and information later on, but it is in the chat. If you're interested in the topic, there is a free download. I would like to say that it's absolutely wonderful to be with you here today. Thank you for listening. This is a great honor. Thank you, my friends.